Yo guys, how is everybody today? Welcome back in to Rover Sports, and I wanted to give you guys my take on Lamar Jackson versus Baker Mayfield. I think that it is appropriate because this is NFL, this is opening week of the NFL season, and these guys are going head-to-head against each other playing. And last year, actually, Baker Mayfield was able to beat Lamar Jackson heads up. But I'm going to tell you, if you guys will give me an opportunity to do so, why I would take Baker Mayfield over Lamar Jackson if I were starting a franchise, or who do I think is going to be the better quarterback in the long term. I look at Lamar Jackson as a flash in the pan, and it's just how I view Lamar Jackson. You could say all the things you want about me, but I look at Lamar Jackson, and I see this as a one-year, kind of couple-year wonder, meaning I actually see this with Lamar Jackson, that he's going to be good for maybe several years, just a couple of years, where Baker Mayfield is the long-term who I'd want as the quarterback. And that gap's going to shrink, and eventually Baker Mayfield, I believe, will have about 10 more better seasons than Lamar. I think Baker Mayfield can start in this league and play in this league until he's about 38, 39 years old. Lamar Jackson, by the time he's 33 years old, will be out of the league. So I look at Lamar right now. I think Lamar's probably 23 years old right now. He's probably the youngest MVP in league history. And nobody can take away anything from Lamar Jackson last year. Lamar Jackson was the best football player in the league last year. The Ravens were the best team all year. They went to Los Angeles. They absolutely destroyed the Rams. They beat the 49ers at home. Lamar Jackson also absolutely just owned Bill Belichick. So 2019 was the year of Lamar Jackson. It was the year of Lamar Jackson. 2019. But going forward, I see Baker Mayfield as the better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And I would be very surprised if Lamar Jackson ever gets the Ravens back to an AFC championship, or even takes the Ravens to the AFC championship. I'd be surprised if the Ravens have many home playoff games. I look at the Browns, I look at the Steelers, I think that they're actually headed in better directions than Baltimore. Because Baltimore, just a couple of years ago, the owner wanted to fire John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is a mediocre head coach. He's a little bit better than mediocre, but he had Joe Flacco for all of those years after the Super Bowl. He had that one great Super Bowl run, had a couple of other good playoff runs. He's a good coach. He's not mediocre. He's just an okay good coach. But I look at Lamar Jackson and these Ravens, and Greg Roman, there's a reason why Greg Roman was not signed as an NFL head coach. There's a reason. It's because this system, this merry-go-round system, it runs its course for a couple of years, for about 2 or 3 years. Now, Kaepernick owned the NFL for about 3 years. Then he lost a lot of weight, and then he wasn't the same guy. You look at Lamar Jackson, okay? Look at Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's going to lose as much weight as Kaepernick did that year. I don't think that Lamar is ever going to be in a battle with any quarterback to start for the Ravens. But you look at Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, and when's the last time there was a great running quarterback that was prolific and that owned the NFL for 10 plus years? There's never been an example of a running quarterback that is absolutely a dominant quarterback with his legs and an okay throwing quarterback. There's never been a quarterback that's a run first, or that's a quarterback that's better running the ball than throwing the ball, that's absolutely been electric and has been dialed in and locked into being one of the best quarterbacks. Michael Vick, if Michael Vick didn't go to prison, Vick was a very exciting quarterback, won a couple of playoff games, but Michael Vick is not a Hall of Famer. He's not a pocket passer. You look at the Hall of Fame, they're filled with guys that can win from the pocket. Lamar Jackson, there's a reason he was drafted 32nd overall. If somebody in the first round knew they were getting an MVP, if the Ravens knew this guy would be an MVP, would be the best player in football, there's no way they would have selected Hayden Hurst over freaking Lamar Jackson. In fact, they traded Hayden Hurst. So I'm tired of the argument, the Ravens knew Lamar Jackson would be spectacular. I give John Harbaugh credit. I give Harbaugh credit for hiring Romans and for making the offense around Jackson. And it almost won them a Super Bowl championship. And if Jackson won a Super Bowl championship, you'd have to say that the guy is on path to be a Hall of Famer. Once you bring home a ring, you're on path to be a Hall of Famer. You look at Joe Flacco. If Flacco ever got to a Super Bowl or won another one, he'd be a Hall of Famer. That's how critical and vital Super Bowl championships are. If you start for 15 years at one place or 12 or 13 years at one place and you win multiple Super Bowls, you are a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's kind of how I view it. Or you really would be hard-pressed to not be. And I look at Lamar Jackson, and then just from watching football, this guy, he's kind of like a running back. The same arguments why you would pick a quarterback over a running back in the NFL draft. Lamar Jackson's going to continue to take hits over the lifetime of his career. He's going to continue to take hits. And I know that he's 6'4", but Lamar Jackson is not going to suddenly be a really good drop back passer. He is, you know who he's like as a passer? He's a little bit better than Tyrod Taylor. They're both stiff quarterbacks in the pocket, but Tyrod Taylor does not have a great arm, and Lamar Jackson, you even saw it against Tennessee. He couldn't hit the out throw against Tennessee. And Lamar Jackson's gotten better at throwing, but the reason why Lamar Jackson is such a terrific thrower is because teams are just playing the run. So he's getting coverages that nobody else is getting. He's getting one-on-ones down the field. And now you might say, well, Spencer, why is that? Why would that change? Why would that change with Jackson? It's because over time he's going to get slower. He's going to get banged up. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of football. Lamar Jackson, that's just the nature of playing the position of quarterback. It's playing the position. That's what it is. And he's a slender guy. And it's going to happen. Lamar Jackson eventually, he's not going to transform into a guy that can win from the pocket. You look at every other quarterback in the league, and they're better at throwing the ball than they are running it. And Lamar is fun to watch, and he was an MVP last year, and he was the best player in the sport last year. But you look at guys that are MVPs, it doesn't mean that they're going to be Hall of Famers. You look at Cam Newton, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. You look at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not a Hall of Famer. He doesn't get it done in the playoffs. He's a good quarterback. There's Hall of Famers that are decent, MVPs that are decent quarterbacks. Steve McNair was headed towards a good career, not a Hall of Fame career. So there's guys that win MVPs that are not like the best of the best. Okay, who's better, Tim Duncan or Steve Nash? But Steve Nash has more MVP awards. So now let's go to the argument about Baker Mayfield. So Lamar Jackson, I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be the be-all, end-all at the quarterback position. I think in about 5 years, I think Lamar Jackson will still be pretty good this year, but he's going to tail off significantly, probably 2-3 years down the road. Everybody just looks in the window that they are right now. If I made this video last year, we'd be talking about Mitchell Trubisky being an MVP candidate over Lamar Jackson. Look at the odds last year. So everything changes so quickly in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's stock was never going to be higher than last year. Last year was the golden opportunity to win a Super Bowl. It was the peak of Lamar Jackson's career. I will say that confidently. And if Lamar Jackson, if he wins a Super Bowl this year, I'll come back and say that I was dead wrong about Jackson this year. If Lamar Jackson has 3 seasons of playoff football, and he's really, really good, and he's still dominating the NFL for 3 seasons, I will come back and say, yes, I was wrong about Lamar Jackson. I will say I was wrong about Lamar Jackson. And then if Lamar Jackson is better than Baker Mayfield, and he goes on to play to his mid-30s, and he's a lock Hall of Fame guy, and even if Lamar Jackson is really, really good, like even if he has the career of Phillip Rivers, I'll come back here and say I was an idiot on Lamar Jackson. And last year, Lamar Jackson, it was egg all over my face last year about about Lamar Jackson. But I'm not gonna pivot on my opinions just based on a season. I'm going to stick firm with these picks. Okay, I had Lamar Jackson. I think I might have had him after Josh Rosen in the 2020 class. I would put him above Josh Rosen. So you look at Baker Mayfield now. Baker Mayfield last year was a guy that everybody wanted over Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield, the guy from Oklahoma, the guy with Greg Williams, that was able to go into Denver and get a really good win at Denver. A guy was able to beat Matt Ryan heads up and play amazing against the Atlanta Falcons. He beat Cam Newton. That Baker Mayfield, a Baker Mayfield that almost went into Baltimore and was so close to even getting the Browns or I actually think it was knocking maybe the Ravens out of the playoffs. I think the Browns had nothing to play for that year. Baker Mayfield, 6'1", pocket passer, has a much better arm strength than Lamar Jackson. Has elite level arm strength in the NFL. I mean, he could throw the ball 60 yards. I mean, that throw to Jarvis Landry against the Carolina Panthers, that's one of the great throws that you'll see over the last 5 years of the NFL was Baker Mayfield throwing to Jarvis Landry. I think that Baker Mayfield, from a cerebral standpoint, is as sharp as any quarterback in the league. And I also think Baker Mayfield, he got humbled quickly in his career. Now, this could turn into a disaster where Baker Mayfield doesn't work out with Kevin Stefanski, right? I mean, it could go in a couple of directions. His career in no Cleveland quarterback has ever figured out how to bounce back from the adversity. But now the Browns have had the best offseason they've had in 25 years. Okay, because the Cleveland Browns this offseason, they've shut the heck up. Okay, it's no Odell Beckham. It's no Jarvis Landry. It's no Kevin Stefanski. It's not interviews every single day. It's not I'm feeling dangerous. New York Giant fans suck. You know, we're going to own the NFL for years and years. This offense is stupid good. It's none of that bullshit with Baker Mayfield. It's not. It's not any of that with Baker. It's quiet as a church mouse, and that's when you know that you're doing work. Okay, the people who I respect the most. Just telling you guys, I love athletes that are just quiet and just do stuff and just all about the talk. At times, I like a little bit of talk, right? I don't need every athlete like a Tim Duncan, right? But Baker Mayfield was just obnoxious last year. You know, Freddie Kitchens wearing that shirt against the Steelers. It was obnoxious. It wasn't a professional organization. John Dorsey, bringing in just low character guys. Like there was a guy on Cleveland last year that went off and threatened to beat up a reporter, and that guy got cut. But John Dorsey, he didn't know how to build a firm and good football team. Andrew Berry is so much better than John Dorsey. Andrew Berry is a freaking beast. The guy went out there. He got Ronnie Harrison from the Jaguars. He got Grant Delpit from LSU in the draft. They had one of the best drafts that you can find. And then Kevin Stefanski is a first-year coach, very poised. I'm very impressed with Stefanski. I mean, this is a guy that is just very, very poised at his job, and that through the highs and lows, I think that Stefanski is going to be a damn solid NFL coach. And I look at Mayfield, and I think Mayfield's going to be a very, very, very good quarterback. I think he might win one championship, might play in one Super Bowl championship, might win one, but he's going to be a quarterback that's a borderline Hall of Famer. And it's going to be a very, very close case. I think that he's going to be really, really good. And this year, I think he's going to have a career. I think he's going to have a better year than Lamar and a better career. I think he could be an MVP candidate this year. I look at the Cleveland Browns. I still think that the Steelers are going to win the division, but this offseason's just been absolutely incredible. I mean, you haven't heard anything from Odell Beckham except for ridiculous storylines that he can't control, embarrassing storylines of BS by people that are just out to get him, like yesterday's, interview, okay? I actually feel for Odell Beckham a little bit. He's going to Cleveland now, and Odell's the most likable that he's probably ever been because he's been humbled a lot. He's been very quiet. He's not out there boasting about anything. And he's taken some adversity. He really has. In fantasy, you could pick up Odell in the third round. It's like people are now really sleeping on Odell Beckham. That's the ebbs and flows of the media and people. Baker Mayfield knows this better than anybody. The people that were with Baker last year, they're all hopping off the ship. They're not with him this year. They're the same people making fun of him, making fun of Odell Beckham. They're the same people. And with the Giants, I was never an Odell Beckham guy. I was never an Odell Beckham, fan per se. But now Odell Beckham, I mean, now you can't find Odell. Everybody just slanders Odell Beckham. It's like Jared Goff, right? I was the first one to kind of slander him, and then he performed poorly in the Super Bowl, and now nobody wants anything to do with Jared Goff. You look at Odell Beckham now, you look at these Browns, they're hungry, they're disrespected, and nobody talks about them. Everyone talks about the Ravens, they talk about the Steelers coming back. This is a wonderful spot to be if you're Cleveland, because in life, this is what I take about life, and it doesn't mean that you should ever, really consider anything with me if you don't want to, right? But with life, I always say to promise little and over-deliver instead of promise big, under-deliver. And that's what Cleveland was last year. They were promise, right? They were promise big. They under-delivered big time last year. They were supposed to be the dream team, go to AFC Championship. Under-promise, and they overpromise and they underdeliver. This year, I think that this year it's nice. Expectations are nice and low. They're going to overdeliver. I think they'll be a playoff team, and Baker will get it done. I think Baker's poised to just have a huge year this year. I love everything about Baker Mayfield. Ever since he was at Lake Travis High School, he was 5'8" as a freshman quarterback. He had people doubting him. Then Baker Mayfield had a good year at Texas Tech on nobody's radar. Went up to Norman, Oklahoma. Nobody gave two shits about Baker Mayfield. He was playing intramural softball. No one cared about the guy. Yeah, that's Baker Mayfield. He's a quarterback on the football team. Trevor Knight's the guy. He just had the Sugar Bowl win. That's Baker Mayfield. No one gives a shit about me, And then Baker Mayfield, he went out there. Not only did he win the job, he was a Heisman finalist. First year, he beat Trevor Knight out for the damn job. So Baker Mayfield, the motivation that runs inside of Baker Mayfield, he's an elite quarterback. He's going to prove to be an elite guy over time. And Lamar Jackson, the course of running quarterbacks that run first, that are able to have the longevity in the NFL to be good, it's not a long list of guys. It's no list of guys. Maybe go back to Wyatt Tittle or Archie Manning, but even Peyton and Eli were better than Archie Manning in terms of what they accomplished. So you could be a mobile quarterback. You can be like Russell Wilson, but you got to be able to layer throws in and be an elite thrower of the ball. Russell, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, these guys, Aaron Rodgers, these guys are very fast. They're good athletes, but they're able to at times hit from the pocket. And Lamar Jackson, you just look at John Harbaugh around him. You look at Greg Roman. If Greg Roman's if he's the best offensive coordinator in all football, why wasn't he hired? It's because the guy's almost 60 now, and he can't stay in more than one spot. So you just have to look at things, right? You have to look at who has stability in these positions, and you have to look down the line. You can't just be stuck in the moment. And I'll be completely fair. And I'll call out everything that happens. And objectively, we will see how this lands in several years. So this was fun. Thank you guys for watching. I always do appreciate it. Take care.